Despair. Quite a vague thing on its own, really. How does one write despair? It's not something obvious like anger or joy. Despair has no tangible, obvious signs. It's insidious, subtle, ambiguous. It's something that has touched all our lives, under the surface, only sometimes seeping through the cracks to be seen in the light of day. Nnoitora, for me, really symbolizes this idea of despair in a way no character ever has, and the fact that no one has noticed this beautifully succinct, masterful narrative that went into it has its own ironic pang of despair. Much like despair, the 5th Espada's character arc goes unnoticed by most, dismissed perhaps. To many, it probably seems like Nnoitora was designed to just be this sexist, cruel asshole and not much else. My younger self bought into this hasty judgment like I'm sure many of you have. It wasn't until an older, more well-read version of myself went back to Bleach again that I noticed there was more to the 5th Espada story than you might realise. Nnoitora's first real scene in Bleach comes after he has defeated Chad. Tesla, his Fraction, asks the Espada if he's going to deal the final blow, with Nnoitora essentially answering by saying that Chad is too weak, and if he kills all the nobodies, who is going to tell everyone how strong he is? Chad then gets up, throwing a last desperate attack at Nnoitora, with Tesla jumping in to defend the Espada from the attack at the last moment. This actually annoys Nnoitora, and we get an explanation from Tesla where he says that enemies tend to put all their Ryatsu into their final attack, something that could have potentially harmed the Espada. This is interesting to me because we later see that Nnoitora has no problems killing weak opponents. In a flashback, he even went out of his way to butcher an entire colony of Hollows, just because Aizen never ordered him not to. So why did he leave Chad alive? And why was he so annoyed when Tesla stepped in to protect him? In a separate flashback, we see the end of a duel between Neliel and Nnoitora, with Nell as the victor. Nell is putting her sword away when Nnoitora stops her, demanding that she finish the duel and deliver the coup de grace. Nell refuses, telling him that she won't, because she only sees him as a beast and not a warrior. In another flashback, it seems like Nnoitora is trying to provoke Nell, an Espada that he knows is stronger than himself, into fighting him. He killed the Hollows to try and upset her, and even goes so far as to issue her a direct challenge. Bring it on, if you think you can beat me, that is. However, the conversation is cut short when they are suddenly attacked. Nnoitora is knocked unconscious, and wakes up to see that Nell has saved his life. Again, Nnoitora seems more annoyed than anything, telling Nell that he can't stand her. The same relationship between the two continues to grow. Nell continues to follow Nnoitora, and Nnoitora continues to fight Hollows, even going so far as to kill Arrancar in some attempt to provoke Nell into a fight. She turns him down again and again, refusing to draw her blade against him. So why does Nnoitora act this way? It seems almost nonsensical. Even when he's given the chance to get the fight he longed for again with Nell, he holds back, pulling his blows and not using his resurrection. Why? For those of you who don't know, each Espada represents an aspect of death. Things like madness, solitude, or destruction. The answer to why is the same thing I talked about at the start of this video. Despair. The aspect at the heart of Nnoitora's design is despair and self-loathing. More than anything, he longs for his own death in battle. Nell has straight up called his behaviour suicidal, and Nnoitora tells us himself that the only reason he fights at all is to die. This is why he demands the coup de grace. This is why he gave Chad the opportunity to make one last attack with all his Ryatsu. And this is why, when he's nearly cut in two, barely alive, he still stands up to face Kenpachi. What are you scared of, Shinigami? This isn't over. I can still fight. It's at the hands of Zaraki and his own self-loathing that we finally see Nnoitora get the death he had always longed for. Getting cut down and taking my last breath before I hit the ground, that's how I want to go out. There is obviously more to this character as well. The strange, almost friendship and rivalry he has with Neliel has a lot of facets to it. On one hand, it seems like Nell simply does not want Nnoitora to get himself killed so callously, which is the only positive relationship Nnoitora is ever shown to have throughout the series. From Nnoitora's perspective, however, she's just keeping him from the one thing he wants: death in combat. It's obvious that he still respects Nell, however, and views her as a rival. He pulls his blows against her, and is constantly hounding her for duels. When he teamed up with Nnoitora, he easily could have killed her, but wanted for her to instead regain her strength and return so they could fight again. A very complex relationship indeed, and all of this is conveyed over only a small handful of chapters where Nnoitora actually appears. Kubo certainly isn't the best writer out there, but even his harshest critics couldn't possibly say that the tale of Nnoitora Gilga doesn't have its own beauty and nuance. Definitely one of the most underrated and developed characters found throughout all of shonen history.